Hello. I am just waiting for my photographer that I'll be featuring tonight hops on here. Let's see here. What is today? Wednesday? Wow. I feel like it's already been a long week. Does anybody else feel like that? Oh, here she is. Let's see here. I think. Here we go.
Hey,
Hi.
how's it going?
How are you?
Good.
Good. Oh my
Out of
goodness.
breath. I was getting up and down to turn off the light, turn on the light, see which one I looked better in.
Oh, right.
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
I'm like on my bed. I'm like, people are
Yeah.
it's just super professional. So
Yes. No, like turn all the lights off and use my computer to light myself. So
That's right. I've done that. So it's fine. Like
yeah. This is my first time. I'm a little nervous, but
Oh my
excited.
goodness. Well, that's exciting though. How
Yeah.
are you nervous?
I just haven't done it before. I'm super don't want to talk to a phone. I didn't want to join Marco Polo for a long time because it was so awkward to me. So I'm trying to get over that and branch out and just go for it. So
Good.
yeah.
Truly though, that's what I'm writing a video on the mindset that a photographer has to have to succeed. And one of those is just going for it and not worrying about failing or messing up or anything like that. And it's so hard, especially because photography and with our the personal branding and stuff, it feels so personal. And so it's that makes it even harder. But it's almost like you just can't even think about it and you just have to do it. And
I worry too much what people will think and I never find out what they're thinking. Why does it matter? And should that stop me from pursuing my own dreams? I'm working on the mindset of overcoming fear, which I don't know. That's hard.
It's hard. It is hard. And it's so funny because in my photography business, I had to overcome that. And I thought, okay, good. I've learned how to beat self-doubt, I've learned how to overcome that fear of failure. And then I branched into education and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's all the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, so you're telling me this never ends?
I'm no kidding. Or you conquer something and there's always something next.
It's true.
Yeah. I'm kind of over it though. I'm over the fear. I'm over the holding myself back. I'm over it.
Good.
It's kind of,
I feel like you really have to reach that point in order for change to start happening though, because it's we can tell people all day long, do this, but until you are just at the point where you're just I'm done with this. I need to either make it happen or not. This just needs to, And so I feel like that's where a person has to hit mentally for that, success to really happen. So well, I'm super glad that you agreed to hop on here with me. So
this is cool. I'm excited about this.
Me too.
Love talking about photography. I could talk about it all day long.
I love it. So tell me then, okay, first off, is it Tailee? Tailee. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Pretty. So tell me a little bit about you and your business and, all of that good stuff.
So I started a long time ago I started about 13 years ago.
Wow.
And kind of like one of those, just jumped in and started doing it. I didn't know anything about taxes or business licensing or anything. I just thought, I had my senior photos taken, and I got by some guy that, you know, and I got him back, and I was like, felt like crying.
You're like,
so,
I can do a job.
Yeah.
Come on.
So yeah, I know. I was like, seriously, what the heck? So a few years later, my sister it was time for senior photos, and I was like, forget that. Like, we're doing your photos, because I had just bought a film camera. So film was like, digital wasn't really a thing, and it was way more expensive, and so I just went with film. So that's how I started. Let's see. My business name has been the same this whole time because I'm not that original, and back then too.
Me either, girl. I hate naming things. I hate it.
Too. I like, I struggle with that. And back when I started, everyone's names were like cutesy, little bird photography or whatever, but like,
yes, right?
Yeah. So I'm glad
how did you come up with that? Like,
yeah. Like, it sounded fine if someone else does it, but when you come up with it, you're like, does this sound stupid?
Yeah.
Or does this actually
good?
cute?
Like.
Yeah. So luckily I did that, because now that's the cool thing to do. So
right.
I'm still there. I don't do film anymore, or I just do black and white film on occasion here and there. I'm trying to do it more and more each session. Let's see. I made a note page because I knew I kind of forget things if I get nervous, but so I started like,
it's so good.
Yeah. So I started doing like weddings and families mostly, and then I hated weddings, or I thought I did, and then, well, I didn't enjoy them. So I quit doing weddings, did families, and evolved into kind of, you know, doing digital, got away from weddings, did a lot of families, and did a lot of newborns. I worked at the hospital in the nursery a whole bunch for about 9 years as a nurse, and so I got lots of experience with babies. So I was kind of the newborn photographer for a long time.
You're like expert newborn photographer.
Yeah, I was really comfortable with them.
It.
Was familiar with their little tiny bodies and
their anatomy.
So I did like super posy newborns, and then I had this whole like realization that really wasn't me, and shifted into kind of more lifestyle, natural light photography, and kind of where I'm at now.
Love it.
So yeah, that's kind of the short version of it. But through all that, there's been all the like crises that come up as a creative person that,
The creative process is rough one.
Yes.
It is not for the faint of heart.
It's
you
like
know?
Transformative. Like
it really is.
The butterfly over and over and over again.
It's true. And it's exhausting a little bit, but so good at the same time.
Yeah. If you keep going through it, you're going to come out really, really good on the other side.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's absolutely true. So where are you like located?
So we just moved. We were in Roosevelt, Utah, which is a small town kind of near Colorado. We just moved to Heber, which is like some people call it a small town. It's big to me compared to where I came from. It's near like Salt Lake, Provo.
Okay.
A bigger area.
Never been to Utah, so.
You need to come.
I do need to go.
Utah's
I
so
do need
cool.
to go. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, there's like you need like 5 Utah trips. So, because there's northern, southern, and then like there's all these different places to go. Or just do like a road trip or something.
Man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
With kids, road trips are like a nightmare.
Yes. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I have 4 kids, so
there you go. Look
yeah.
So, and then that's a whole nother thing in itself with being a photographer, is also motherhood, and like that is just a whole nother element. So
that's a whole other conversation, even of
it's true
running a business with kids and the best way to.
Oh, and it's amazing not to say that these people can't feel busy, but when people with no children are like I just have no time and all of these things. And I'm like, do you though? Do you have no time? Because
I think they
let
do.
me tell you about my life.
It's all they know at the time.
It's true.
So it's like
true.
1 kid to 4 kids, like all you know is 1 kid.
Mm-hmm.
And all I know is 4, and I know people that have 12 kids, and like,
It's
you know,
true.
I don't know that kind of busy, and I never want to.
It's true.
Yeah.
All the time I think back to when my oldest was like a little baby, and I just thought it was so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And like going from 0 to 1 kid was like my hardest transition.
Yeah.
But like it was just, you know, but then now I'm like, why did I ever think that was hard? Like, why?
Yeah, because you get good at it, and then you challenge yourself again.
Yeah. Well, and I think each life has its own set of challenges, but but yeah. So let's see here. Let's see here. So you mainly then do newborns and families. Are you full-time or part-time?
So all my kids are in school now, so I'm really like jumping in, but I just moved to a new area. So I'm part-time until I build momentum.
Good.
Yeah,
yes.
so I feel like that'll evolve, hopefully. I think that's where I'm at. Like, I'm either doing this or I'm going to get a job. And I applied for a job, and I was like, I can't do it. So for a nursing job, and I was like, I really want to do this. So that's what I'm going for. Oh,
good. And yes, I moved my business 3 times, and
oh man,
it's rough.
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
That's how I came up with all of the stuff in like my More Than Marketing course, was because when we moved, so like my husband, he couldn't find more than a part-time job, and he was only making $10,000 a year. And we've got like 2 kids. Our apartment is like $1,200 a month because Illinois is outrageous. Yeah. And so I'm like freaking out, like, oh my gosh, I have to make money for my family. Like I have to buckle down and figure out like this isn't just like a fun little side thing anymore. Like
right.
This is pressure, you know? And so it's like, yeah, I feel that. And so, you know, and having to do that, you know, 3 different times has been crazy. And I never would have dreamed of like, why is this a good thing? Like, why am I having to do this 3 freaking times? But now like seeing like the course and like other people going through it and stuff, it's like super cool, because it's like, you know, I got to like test out that 3 different times essentially. Yeah. You know, before like putting it out there for other people. So yeah, moving in a photography business is super rough at times.
So I did a lot of newborns. I did some birth stories. Like that was kind of my specialty, I guess you could say, but I've really been wanting to get back into weddings. So I've started to pursue that a little bit and open up to that too. So that's kind of my next. I'd like to do more with weddings.
And I'm kind of the opinion, and this is what I teach in my course, I don't think photographers have to do one type. I built my business to 6 figures doing weddings, newborns, and families.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, I've heard both, and I'm like, I can't decide. Like, I know I don't do extended families, and I don't do post newborns, you know, like, but I'll do anything if I can do it the style that I feel like I'm best at, you know. But generally speaking, weddings, families, babies, like that's where I would spend my time.
Yes, I love all of them. For like, I just realized the thing that like hangs your shirt up on the hanger is sticking out of my shirt.
I was like, mine.
See, nobody has to be embarrassed on live videos with me because I'm a mess. So it's great. Yeah, I think that's super cool. And I think there's an importance of having a niche, but I don't think it has to be determined by the type of photography that you do. So, yeah. So it's just, I mean, that's a whole conversation, but like,
you could argue that in every direction.
It's true.
It's nice to hear someone has done it the way that I want to do it, and that they've done well with it. So, because all my friends that are photographers, we talk about that like all the time. Do I really just have to do one thing, or, you know, can I actually do a few different things? Like, you don't need to do everything, but to have,
well, and I think that, you know, the reason And the reason, and so what I did is I tried to niche down to like one thing, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't give it up. You know, like I love them all so much. And it was like super hard. So I like, after like finding my why, my superpower, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but like I made holistic photography my niche. And like, so essentially it's, I like clicked my phone to like make the light come
my
on.
phone was doing it too.
Not my light. Okay. But so I like made holistic photography my niche, which is essentially just the experience that I'm offering them. So like I like have these like marriage and family counselors help me make this questionnaire that people do before their session. So essentially my like mission is like to keep marriages and families together. And I do this by challenging them, you know, in ways that aren't always comfortable, you know, or whatever. And like things like that. And so, but it's been funny because like, I really was like, okay, moms and stuff I think will love this, but I did not think that brides would really dig that, because I'm like, they don't want to think about the hard things. Like they're like getting married. It's like the happiest moment of their life, but it's not the case. Like actually like they've like been totally in it. And I don't know if it's just because like statistically with like people's parents being like divorced or like what, I don't know. I don't know why, but they love it. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
Go for it, you know, like so I'm all about like, I don't feel like there's one thing that works for every business. I think that it really depends on like so many things for each business. So yes, but okay, do you want to continue to tell us more about your business, or do you want to chat about marketing?
Maybe a little bit of both. So let's see. I had a couple things that I had written down that I thought were really important, which might make me something, not strengths that feel like have helped me become a better photographer. Not that I feel like I'm the best, nobody does, but like.
No, but for other photographers watching this, I'm like, there's just so much value in knowing like, oh my gosh, like that's so true, you know, like just feeling that with somebody. And so so
I really felt like there were probably two things that completely changed me from just being like everybody else to being completely different, which is what I want, is to be different. And I want to create photos for people that also want photos that are more unique. And one of them, I was totally trying to be other photographers. For years, and
oh my gosh,
probably 4 or 5 years, maybe 4 years ago, I really figured out that, well, probably about 5 years ago, I figured out like, what am I doing? And it was like one day I was this, and the next day I was like, I don't do that anymore. Posed newborns are out. Like, I'm done with that. That's not natural. Like, that's not a normal, that doesn't, I don't know. I just had this whole like, and I totally did it for years and years and years. And I don't have any issue with people that do it. I have lots of friends that do it.
It just wasn't you.
Awesome. Yeah, it didn't suit my personality. And I started to really realize like, and the photos that I saw that I was really.
So what did it take for you to realize that?
That is a good question.
Because I feel like, so from a lot of photographers, I'm like, oh, you know, I hear all the time, like, I love lifestyle and but I also loved pose. I love bright and moody, or bright and airy, but I also like dark and moody. And so it's like, you know, what is it, do you feel like, that really happens in our minds, you know, for us to finally just like know what we want?
Yeah. So I do feel like there is a way to nail down your style. I think for me, I had done like a natural light photos of my kids. And I think that's where it was like, I wish I could do photos of other people's kids like I take of my own. And that's where I started to go down that path. And I loved how natural light looked. It was just like, how could you, studio light, and natural light is so much more appealing to me. And I kind of started to realize, you know, there's a way to tap into your person. You have to like do some work, but figure out who you are as a person. Are you like a light, fun, free, giggly kind of person? Are you more kind of subdued and calm and detail oriented, and you like soft colors, soft things, and softness? Are you more intense, more bold, more
I always tell people to look at the clothes in their closet, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like,
they
that'll
don't know
tell you a lot.
unless they're dressing like everybody else. Because, you know. But yeah, if you look at your clothes or your home, like, what are you consistently drawn to? I'm more quiet. I'm a little on the shy side until I know people. I'm trying to be, like, I feel like I'm a friendly person, but definitely kind of shy. I'm more internal, emotional, thoughtful, and like internally emotional. I do a lot of thinking, and I feel like I'm a little more serious. I'm not a.
You ever done the Enneagram?
Yes, I actually did another personality thing that helped me. The Enneagram overwhelms me, but I think I'm a 9 if I did it right.
Okay.
And that probably makes sense to a lot of people, but I don't know any of them are. But that actually, the Enneagram, I think would probably, since so many people are doing it, that to me is how you tap into your style as a photographer. Because that's you. You know, it's not somebody else. It's not this girl that does these kind of photos and I like them. Like, I love post newborns. I love some studio stuff. I love weddings.
See, it's so funny though, because I feel like photographers do the exact same thing with their marketing. I'm a 9 through. She said, I'm a 9 through and through, and I can see that in you too. There you go. So the Enneagram, maybe someone can explain this to me. I got freaking like identical numbers on like 4 different things. And like, so then I like reached out to them because I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, why did I score equal on all of these? And she was like, well, we found that these people have usually done like an in-depth like self-growth or like self-awareness or like psychological like development. And I'm like, yes, I love psychology. Like that is like hands down my like number one favorite thing in the world.
And that's like, that is interesting that applies to marketing. It really like affects your presence, I think, which is why I'm kind of more into like email list, blogging regularly, occasionally I'll do this kind of stuff. Yeah, because it's not me, and it will never sound right. I will look like a clown trying to do it because it's not me. But if it is actually someone's personality, like another thing in my work that I've tapped into myself, I'm such a dreamer, and my photos look dreamy, and that's because that's who I am. So I do feel like that Enneagram, whatever you got to do to like, there's like your dominant and then your like secondary or whatever. That's the path you should follow to find your photography style, and it sounds like really your marketing style too.
Yeah, I actually have the students, like the photographers in my course, do this other personality test that I like a little bit better. Enneagram's great, but
it's the trend. Everybody knows.
There's this other one that I have them do that I really think it just like nails it when it comes to business, and so I have them do that, and it's like I think that personality plays a lot into marketing, and it's like if other people are like, oh, I can't do that in my marketing, I'm like, great. Don't do that in your marketing. Like that's me. Like you don't have to do that, you know?
Yeah, and that doesn't mean don't push yourself out of your comfort zone.
No, absolutely.
Like I think that's where a lot of people kind of avoid things. It's like, it's not like me to do this, but too bad, you know, you got to do it.
Exactly.
Do it in a way that feels natural.
Exactly. And though, like, so you were saying like one of your biggest, or that your strengths was that you like felt like you knew who you were, like you found who you are. Because at the beginning you had adopted like doing so much of what other photographers were doing. And so you had asked me, one of your questions about marketing was like, what are some things that photographers should be doing but they aren't? And I was actually going to say that a lot of times what we do is we just adopt the missions and the ideas and the inspiration of other photographers, and it's not actually our own. Like, and that's the thing. And it's hard because it's like, when I first started doing this too, I was like, there's like this other photographer that I like loved in my hometown, and she has an amazing business, knows her why, lives it out to the fullest. People pay her $2,000 for a freaking session. She's like, literally just incredible. And Mitzi Starkweather Photography, you can find her on Instagram, she's an awesome person. But so she was absolutely incredible, but I just remember being so inspired by everything that she was writing and everything she was saying. And it was tempting as a photographer, not to like copy. That's not what I'm saying. But it's like, that's the role that we play as like marketers. We are the visionaries. Our goal is to get people to adopt like our mission and to show them like, hey, you want to be a part of this, even if they don't know they want to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, I encourage photographers to like not adopt the mission of other photographers. Don't adopt like their message. Don't adopt any of that. Like, don't try to combine a bunch of them into your own. Like, really work hard on finding your own message and your own why and your own purpose for doing things, because that's where the gold is. That's where your marketing becomes easy, because you're so freaking passionate about it. You don't care if you have to post to social media 10 times a day, because it's like you're so passionate about it that you're like, you know, you've
like
written,
I figured it out.
2 months of posts in like an hour, and you're like,
all the ideas start coming. Like that's when you, like, start writing all this crap down. Like this, can you see my page of like insanity?
Like, I have so many notebooks of just like ideas. It's overwhelming. I just can't.
Yeah, that's really important. So one thing you feel like is getting to the core of them, which is that's the hard part, I think.
Yeah.
And that's why I think you see so many people with the same phrases on their sites, because like
it's true. It's true.
Like, I don't know.
It's true.
Which is hard not to, because you might read something somewhere, you don't know where you read it, but you like that.
And I don't think it's a copying thing. I think it's that they don't know themselves thing. Like, okay, so sometimes I'll see photographers say like, oh, my why is like my kids or my family, or I want to, you know, even like the whole keeping marriages and families together. That's not my why. My why is to challenge others to grow so they can be who they were meant to be and live the life they were meant to live. So it has nothing to do with photography. But then I applied that to my photography business, and I created this holistic experience, right? So that's like my superpower. And then when I applied it to like my marketing, it came out, it has like a bajillion different ways to communicate that. You know, one of them is I want to keep marriages and families together. You know, one of them is I want to challenge others to like not mentally check out of the important relationships in their life, you know, and things like that. And it's like, and I have all these stories for why these are my message and things like that. But you're absolutely right. The hardest part is finding those initial things. And so like, you know, this last year was like the first time that I launched this course or whatever. And I did like this first like free 6 months of coaching, and I didn't ever plan on doing that again. But now I actually do it with every single student who enrolls, because I think that's the hardest part. The hardest part is trying to figure that out by yourself. And sometimes it's like you need that like bird's eye view from somebody else who can see like the forest when we're so focused on like the tree. And so, you know, and so, sorry, I'm all excited because this is like my favorite thing.
I'm excited too. I just it's my show.
No, you're good. You're good. It's like helping others find their purpose is like literally, I mean, that's like my purpose. Like it's like
So what's like a takeaway that like I could go do today that you would recommend as far as hey, photographer, go like you could do this tomorrow?
So in relation to why, or in relation to marketing in general?
Just marketing in general, like because I know there's a lot more specific that you dive into like in your courses, but just in general, like a
I would
say
say
a thing that, not quick fix, but like something that's like you could easily.
I think honestly, in the first thing I make them do, this is what I would tell you, is the first thing I make my photographers do in the course is self-awareness activities. It's video.
Which seems so annoying when you're like, I just want to make money.
It is, exactly. But this is the thing. And I have a student like that right now, and I freaking love him. But also, it drives me bonkers because he wants to get to the marketing part of the course. And I tell him, I'm like, if you don't freaking do this stuff first, none of that's going to matter. Like, because when I moved, so my story is that when we moved, you know, I had to make that money because my husband was only making $10,000, and I was like, holy freaking crap.
And you don't feel like you have time for self-work. Like,
right?
cash.
So I started marketing the crap out of my business. But then what happened is I got burnt out and I was really overwhelmed because I was so busy. And when I tried to raise my prices, everybody stopped coming. They weren't seeing my value, which is another one of your questions that you asked. How do we communicate our value to our clients and help them see not just our pricing?
Right.
And that was my struggle. That was what was wrong. And I was like to the point where I was about ready to quit because it was like, I couldn't freaking relax with my kids without having to like be on my phone and like, let me comment on Instagram and let me post on my stories and let me do this and let me do that. And it's like, it's not about what you do for marketing. It's about who you are and knowing who you are and knowing why you're different and why you're doing everything that you're doing in relation to not just like your mission for your business, but as for like your life purpose mission. Like mine was like the challenging for self-growth. And that's because it's like, if you don't, you know, like I said, I could sit here and tell you post on social media X amount of times a day. You need to be doing this. But here's the thing is if you just do those, that's just going to make you burnt out. And that's not my goal for you. And so it's like, you know, that's the hard part. And so that's honestly like, I would love to sit here and say, I mean, I don't even care. I'll give you my marketing strategy because I know that if you don't do the other stuff first, it's like, it's not going to matter, you know? And so the self-awareness, I encourage them to journal. I even give them prompts that I want them to work through. I have them do like this life story like activity. And then I have them do that personality test where they have to, and then I have them given what the test gives them, this like 50-page document about them. And the whole time you're like, oh my God, how do you know me so well? And it's like, I want them to go through and write out their strengths and weaknesses and then nail down how that specifically applies to their business. Not just their strengths, but their weaknesses too. So like one of my weaknesses is that I like to be spontaneous. I hate schedules and details and blah, 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 blah. Like that is just not my thing. And so like knowing that that's one of my weaknesses, like I actually have like a business coach who literally helps me stay focused, like on track, because it's like, otherwise I'm just like all over the place. And so she's like, Ariel, did you stick to your weekly days that you were supposed to do? And I'm like, yes, you know, like, because I know that's one of my weaknesses. And so I can combat that.
I'm finding that too. Like I just hired a business coach a little bit ago, but like, I thought I had to do everything and figure it out all myself. And I'm reading that book, You're a Badass at Making Money. And one of her comments was like, the people that are at the top, like even, you know, basketball players, whatever, they have a coach. It's the people at the bottom that are the ones trying to do everything that are poor or the poor people at the bottom or something, you know, the way she said everything is really funny, but like, it's kind of true. Like you need people's help. And, you know, I like even you have a coach and you're like a coach.
Right.
So,
See? And that's like, that's
I've been here 13 years. Like I just hired a coach.
Yes.
So
nobody knows it all.
Stuff. No.
Nobody knows it all. Everybody has to have somebody who's like pouring into them. And I feel like, you know, and that's really what I was hoping these videos will do is like, not just that they would learn marketing things and hear your story and all of that cool stuff, but like just to not feel like so alone in their photography and the struggles. And then just like, you know, even just connecting other photographers so that they can like encourage each other and get to know each other better, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah. So what do you feel like with what made you finally break down and like hire a coach?
I think I've actually kind of known, I guess, that I needed business help. Like I'm really good with a camera. I'm really good with people. I give my clients great service. You know, like all those things were lining up. And I just moved, so it's like kind of hard to say now, but like I had hit a block and like I didn't know how to get past it. I've been wanting to get into weddings, haven't quite figured out how to really break into that. And so that's kind of where I got of just like, I'm really, really great. I have 13 years of creative experience, you know, and technical experience, but I don't have business knowledge.
See,
so,
and I'm the opposite.
Basically,
I didn't freaking pick up a camera until I was like 24. Business and knowledge and like entrepreneurship and marketing, that's like in my blood. Been doing that since I was like 3. Literally, I started my own business at like age 4. It was absolutely ridiculous. And so that is like my bread and butter. Like the photography is a skill that I like taught myself, but it's like, you know, and that's why I tell people, stop focusing on your pictures. Your pictures are freaking fun. If I can get to this level.
Too. Well, I've seen a lot of people too that it's not necessarily about their photos, even quality, and like if they know how to market, like that's a really good thing to know. So that's where I was like, I don't know any of that really. And so
and that was what one of the things I listed as the 3 things that photographers should be doing in their marketing, but they aren't, is that they're not focusing on the right things. We like to highlight our features and our benefits, and, you know, or even like, we'll even get a little bit emotional with it. Like, you know, I care about, you know, these intimate moments you have before you walk down the aisle, blah, blah, blah. Like literally all the same. I can go to every photographer's profile and see the same type of post. And so it's like, you know, that's not what they need to be talking about, you know. And it's interesting because when you learn psychologically, this limbic part of your brain, it's the one that controls our feelings, but it's also the one that controls our buying decisions. And so 100% of everybody's purchasing decisions are made emotionally. In fact, there was like a study done on eBay where like, okay, so they like found $100 worth of trinkets. And so they posted them for sale. And then they did this thing where they wrote a story, like a backstory on each trinket and the history behind it. And they ended up making like over like $10,000. Like it was freaking insane. And I'm like, see, this, I know. Like, I'm like, this is the power of freaking marketing, is that it's like, stop focusing on your features and benefits. That's not that's not what's unique about you. You know, what's unique about you is you know. That's why self-awareness is like really key, because you have to know why you're different, you know.
So you don't focus on you and what you're saying, and the self-work helps you tap into like it
kind of helps you tap into just your voice, your unique value, what you have to offer that the other photographers around you aren't offering.
And how do you feel you can convert that inner self-work of what, you know, you do to communicating that to what you do for others? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I was just trying to think, let's see. You know,
so like instead of saying like, I am very creative and unique and blah, 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 because I feel like that's something, but how would I rephrase that maybe for
that's not specific enough. So I would be like, you know, very bluntly, I have stated like on my photography business, like, you know, when you hire me, you're not here for just pictures. You know, if you're looking for, you know, someone who could do a last minute photo session for a Christmas card, or you're trying to fit your kid's 1-year session in before their birthday, I'm not the person for you. And I like straight up say that. And then I talk about all of these reasons of like why I'm different. Yes, exactly. Lisa have said deeper, you know, why. I would say, gosh, because marketing isn't about your ideal client understanding you. It's when they feel understood by you. And so by you knowing who you are and the experiences that you've had and relating it to them, and then like helping them to feel like, you know, I have been there, I am with that, you know, I've been in your shoes, you know, things like that, that's making them trust you more. So like
I'm more about like validating them from where you're coming from.
Yeah. So this is like another mistake I see marketers make, or photographers make is that they think that personal branding means just telling a personal story or something. And that's not personal branding. Personal branding means that you need to be able to tell a story. Yes, absolutely. Tell a true story about your life, but tell it in a way that relates to your ideal client. So for example, I was like straight up, oh gosh, burnt out like the other day, like a couple months ago. I was just burnt out. I was freaking tired and exhausted, but I wasn't burnt out in motherhood. I was burnt out in my job. But my ideal client on Facebook mainly is working moms. And so I put in a blog post, like what are 3 tips for when you're burnt out in motherhood or something. And it's like, it doesn't matter. I mean, everybody who's burnt out, no matter what the case is, you know, and I could even recycle that same blog post for photographers, what to do when your business has burnt you out or whatever. And it's like, because the tips are still the same, it's just the motive is a little different. So, you know, I kind of talked about how hard motherhood is, blah, blah, blah. I really pressed on their pain points, understanding their struggle, you know, all of those things. And then I implemented these things that I was going through in my own life and learning. And, you know, it was like a massively popular blog post because who doesn't feel burnt out in the busy life that we lead in America? So, yeah. And so I think self-awareness is part of it, but then I think the second part of that is also aware of your ideal client, like specifically aware of them. You know, like what are their struggles? What does their daily life look like? Like what time do they get up in the morning? What's the first thing that they do? What does their whole entire day look like if you were to map it out? You know, and then not even just like, what does it look like? What emotions are they dealing with that? Like working moms, let's walk through that. It's like they wake up at like 6:30. They pick up their phone for like 10 minutes and then they get up for the day. So what do? Is I schedule a post for that early in the morning every single day. And I'm like one of the first things they see. And so it's like, then they will like, you know, get up and get their kids ready and it's kind of stressful and blah, blah, blah. And then they go to work all day and then they come home and they have to cook dinner and then they have to like try to spend quality time with their kids and then they have to help with homework and then get them in bed. And then what do they do at 8:30? They like plop on the couch, pick up their phone and they mindlessly scroll through Facebook or Instagram or wherever. And it's then my goal, I'm going to fill their cup. I'm going to fill their cup for tomorrow because right now all of their energy is completely depleted. And so, and again, my goal is like holistic photography. And so, you know, that's my goal is posting something encouraging or something funny in the morning. And then in the evening, just posting something like to fill their cup for the next day so that they can like mentally do it because life is hard. And so, yeah. So does that make sense? I think those two things combined together.
Yeah, I'm trying to connect them and that helps to connect.
Yeah.
Something I've wondered about is connecting photography because it's not a need as far as hierarchy of needs. You know, it's like one of the top 3. So let's see if I can quite how to say it. Just like, you know, you're posting your photo at the end of the day with like an encouraging thing or like an encouraging phrase on the photo.
I switch it up. Sometimes it's a picture of me. Sometimes it's a picture of a client. Sometimes like a sneak peek type photo. Sometimes it's a picture of a client from 2 years ago. Sometimes it's, you know, whatever, or a graphic I've created on Canva or something like that. Like I've switched it up. But yeah, I think that really,
I think that kind of goes back to, I guess, communicating value in a way, like communicating the value of photos. Like we all know they're important, but touching on what are ways you'd recommend touching on a pain point as a photographer?
Right. In my opinion, one of the best ways, and it's not always easy at first, but is storytelling. So the first time I like told a story in my business, I remember sitting down and it took me like 2 freaking hours to write a post that was actually good. And I'm like, good God, how do people do this? There's no way I can do this every day. And now I sit down on Thursdays and I plan out 2 weeks worth of content in like 3 hours. And so it's like, and I post on Facebook twice a day and then I post a different post entirely on Instagram because I'm doing photographers and then like my photography business. So it's like two different things. And so I think though that storytelling is the most beneficial because that's where they feel like we're not talking at them, but we're like relating with them. And so I feel like, you know, storytelling is so powerful in that way, but also like science, and I talk about this because I'm a psychology geek, but it's like 22 times more memorable by our brain than facts and figures or even an inspirational speech or anything like that. And so it's like, you know, really utilizing the stories that I have. And it takes like it's like living life with this heightened awareness. So like the other day, my daughter was like throwing this massive fit. And so I like went and like picked her up and I like cuddled her on her bed. And we were like snuggling, and my other daughter was like on the top bunk playing, and she was like, Audrey, come here. Audrey, come here. And I was like, why would she want her down here? Like, because I'm a working mom. I'm gone every day. Like, why does she want to like share her time with me? And I asked her, I was like, you know, why are you calling Audrey down here? And she was like, I don't want her to miss out on this, mommy. And I was just like, immediately, I was like, grab my phone and I like wrote down like this story about how like she was so willing to share this good thing with others. And yet we as like creatives a lot of times feel like we have to like keep our secrets to ourselves, you know, and not give away our secrets because it's like, I don't want someone else to succeed because then that means I won't succeed, you know? And it's like, but see, I wouldn't have noticed that story 3 years ago. But it's like because of this like marketing style that I do, I have this heightened awareness to stories that are happening in my life and then making sure I can write them down, you know, for future posts and things like that.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense to not, because you're not coming up with it every single day. If you're sitting down and scheduling it out, you've got your ideas and then you can just write and then schedule them.
And not every post has to be inspirational. You know, like in the course, I teach like this 6 categories of posts that every business should be posting, not just photographers. I actually teach the same thing to my branding clients. I do a marketing consultation with them. And then, so anyway, but there's like these 6 types of posts, and one of those is inspirational. You know, one of them is like your products and services, you know, things like that. And so it's not like every post has to be like this inspirational makes me cry post. But in general, I ask myself every time I sit down to write something, whether it's a blog or copy for my website or a social media post, I don't ask, what do I want this person to know? But I ask, how do I want them to feel? Do I want them to feel like, oh my gosh, she gets me? Do I want them to feel like, oh my God, that's so funny, like she's hilarious, you know, whatever. Like memes are a huge part of my business. I've talked about it like a bajillion times. I love posting memes. Moms like memes, and so I'm like, let's post it. But like they you know, and so I always ask, how do I want them to feel? And I feel like that has been really valuable for me as I've sat down to write things. That's really been able to give me some clarity.
So outside of social media, what are some marketing tips or things that you've done, you've really liked, or that you've seen other people do? That, because I like social media, okay, but I don't feel like it's super, like people lose their Instagram accounts sometimes, you know, I just don't feel like it's super reliable necessarily, and it's not necessarily where I want to spend all my time.
So I'm not on social media very much, actually. I schedule everything for 2 weeks in advance. So I'm hardly ever on social media.
You just follow up on your schedule.
Exactly. So every night, pretty much, I just get on for like 30 minutes or so, and then I just comment on responding to comments, things like that. Or the benefit of knowing when I schedule them is I can get on when I schedule them and then interact with my audience at that time. So that's kind of what I do for that. But I agree. You know, I think that social media is a good thing. But it's only like a first, second, third date with our ideal client. It's not meant to be a proposal, even though we treat it like that a lot of times. And so some other ways that I think that photographers should market their businesses are blogs. but I don't think it should just be client sessions. I think that's crap. No, that sounded rude. It's not.
I totally read that somewhere. I think today or yesterday I read that. Like, don't
you
just
guys are like my
session.
freaking heroes. Those of you who can blog about every session, I'm like, good
I
Lord.
don't.
How do you do that?
It's hard. I don't. I tried to, but
it's so hard. I don't have a desire. No, that's crazy. So I blog mainly for like I do some sessions every once in a while, like, but literally like maybe for a year. Like most of my blog posts are just an opportunity for my ideal client to dive deeper with me. So social media is more like that surface level engagement, and then diving deeper on my blog. And then some other ways that photographers can market themselves for free, because that's the best way in my opinion, is oh gosh, let's see. I just did a video about this. Let's see. I don't know if you saw the post where I was like recording videos the other day and then I started crying. I had a concussion recently, and it's making me not think of words as quickly as I normally can. And so my poor videographer, he's like, okay, take it from here. And I'm like, I'm trying not to cry right now. But
that sucks.
It was so great. But the one I was recording was the 10 ways to market your business for free. So I'm like pulling it up. But so there's social media, your website, email marketing. I know that not a lot of, so I actually have an email list, and I divide it between, so all of my inquiries come in on my website through Honeybook. So I have everybody's email address, and I mark them, I tag them as clients, like people who have hired me in the past, or they're a regular client, and then potential clients, people who inquired that said no, because every single no isn't a no, it's a not yet. And so I put them on my email list, and I continue to just pour into them and serve them. And, you know, they get to know me more and more and more through this email list. And then eventually they usually circle back around. So email marketing, and then what I call connect working. I don't like the word networking. Networking is really cool. It's like, you know, I'm at a wedding. Here's my business card. Give me yours. Now please send me clients. I don't think that works. And so I'm all about connect working, which is really where you focus on establishing connections with people who have the same ideal client as you, but aren't direct competitors. So like, and this isn't just wedding photographers. Like, if one time when I was doing families and newborns, because I didn't do weddings for like the first 5 years of my business. And so I did families and newborns. So one time I like interviewed a pediatrician on a live video, and we talked about how to prevent your kids from getting the flu. And he shared it on his page, and I shared it on my page. And you know who he markets himself to? As families, you know, and it's like, that's the same thing. And so it's really just utilizing those people that you have access to, you know, because they're all trying to come up with content with their business too. So usually they're more than willing to help, because that establishes them as an expert in the eyes of their ideal client. But then also, you know, it raises awareness about their business. And so, and it does the same for us. So, and then blogging, and then referrals, and let's see here. So every single time I send my galleries, I ask my clients, you know, I let them know, like, did you know referrals are like my number one, you know, blah, blah, blah. Whenever you post your pictures, if you don't mind tagging this on Facebook or this on Instagram, and then just being like, you know, or if you have a chance to, you know, if you see someone looking for this type of photos, you know, feel free to throw my name out there. And I found that they are like more than willing to scream your names from the rooftop, especially if you give them an experience to scream about. And so it's like, they just don't know how valuable it is. So they don't do it, not because they don't like it. They just don't do it because they don't understand how valuable. So just by asking them for a referral, like, I don't even offer like a discount or any perks or anything like that. Like, I just ask them and they do it. And so, and then SEO, you know, search engine optimization, and then experience. And so most people don't count this as a marketing thing, but I 100% think it's a marketing thing. If you market yourself as an experience and not just photos, people are more likely to do that. And so it's all about deciding what that experience is going to be, which again, we kind of talk about in my course. And it's been really fun because with all the different types of photography based on all of their unique whys, it's like, it's crazy. Not one of them has been the same yet. And so it's been really fun to see how all of that has kind of played out. And then publications, getting published in different places, you know, which you'll get a badge.
Like print or online or both?
Both. Yeah. So if you've ever photographed a proposal, go on, let's see, the Not How He Asked. And they publish like any proposal on their blog. And so, but then again, then you get a badge for your website that says published in the Not. And your client doesn't know if it's print or if it's website, and they don't care. They're just like, oh, hey, look, she's been published. You know, that's why I'm giving my people who do this with me a badge.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That's
exciting. So you'll get a badge on your website. Because the thing is it's like your clients don't care. They're not going to go look at it. They're just like, oh, hey, look, they've been published.
Yeah, they see
cool.
Connection points.
Yeah. And so, so those are the 10 ways that I think I really utilized marketing for free. One other way that wasn't on here, that I did was I actually, when I moved to a new town, I said, okay, I'm going to do this many sessions for this price. And obviously I didn't know one person. So that didn't, so I like didn't have anybody on my Facebook to even see that. And so what I did was I went to, you know how there's like local buy and sell groups on Facebook?
Yeah.
I went to one of those and I said, I'm a new photographer in town. I'm going to do, you know, 10 sessions, 8 sessions. I don't remember what it was, for like $200. But this town was a higher market than the place that I had been coming from. And so they were like, $200, that's so cheap. And they like, I mean, and they didn't know I took more than 10 because why the frick not? And so I'm like, I will take any money. Thank you now. Like my family needs this. Like, and so I pretty much just like took whoever was interested, and then by posting their pictures and like tagging them and all of those different things, like word just got out and it slowly started to build. And so you know, I feel like I never until this year, I never did one paid thing for my photography business for marketing ever. And so like my husband is like in ministry and I'm like, we don't have money to do paid marketing. So it's going to have to be free.
You've done marketing. So I've done stuff because I don't know very well on my own. Yes.
Yeah. Did you feel like the paid things were actually?
Well, let's see. So I think I have an issue in converting my inquiries, mostly my wedding ones, to bookings. And so that I'm working on getting to the bottom of the issue there. So as far as getting more inquiries, yes, it did help, but I need to figure out what's missing.
So I always tell people, wherever people are falling off the wagon, look at whatever you're doing right before that. So like, if a photographer isn't getting inquiries, I know that the problem they're having is their like social media marketing or things like that, because it's like those people aren't even seeing enough value to inquire. But if somebody's getting inquiries and not bookings, that tells me that it's like you're not, well, it could be that you're maybe not communicating enough the value beyond just photos. And then, or making sure that they have enough opportunity to dive deeper with you before inquiring. And so like my weddings, I have a branding video. I have like all kinds of things that they like dig through before they ever even like, and then in that entry email, so the very first email that I send them right after they inquire, it is like hammering it on the head of just like, this is how I'm different. Like, this is what you're going to get for hiring me. It's really benefit focused, like them benefit focused, not like features and benefits, like packaging. It's like, this is how this is going to change your life focused. And so I have found that helps, because then it's like they're prepped for like, okay, she's going to be a little bit more expensive because she's doing all of this other stuff. And then then it's not so much of a sticker shock.
Right.
Whenever they, do that.
Yeah. Which I think that is true, because I have held back, I guess, from dumping. I don't want to be too much about me. I want it to be about them, but I'm also
yes. We got kicked off. I'm hoping that Tailee will get back on here. Let's see here. There we are. Okay, let me add you back to here so we can finish our conversation. It is not letting me like invite you. There we go.
Ha.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. I forgot that Instagram like kicks you off after an hour. And I'm can't believe it's been an hour. You've done this for an hour. Go freaking you.
The first part that you're just like, oh man, and then it's fine.
See, yes, I want everybody to hear that word right there, because it's like, I think, so many photographers have DM'd me and said like, I know I should do this, but I'm so scared. And I'm like, don't be scared. Like, I'm such a moron. Literally, you'll feel amazing after,
Yeah, not a big deal. It's just the initial, whatever.
So what were we, I don't even remember what we were saying. Oh,
said something about not about me, or.
Yes. Okay. So I have a coaching person right now that I'm coaching. The words. They don't know where they are. But anyway, he's really struggling because I actually send all of I'm already booked for 2020. I was 7 months ago. And so it's like all of the inquiries I just got on this most recent engagement session, I sent to him. And so, and he's been getting them, but they haven't been booking. And I told him, I was like, send me your email. Because his photos are just as good as mine. Everything's great. So why are they not working with him? Right. And so I had him send me that email, and it was all about, here's why I'm different. Here's why I, whatever. But my email is more like, here's why this is the way you should go. Here's why this is what all you'll be getting. This is why you need this. Not just want this. This is why you need this. And it's all about them. And so it's like, in a way, it is telling them why I'm different, because it is telling them what all, whatever they're getting. And by what all they're getting, I'm not talking about my packaging. They get a general range of pricing, but they don't get the full price breakdown until they do a consultation with me. And so, but anyway, and so I kind of told him that. I said, your email is way too much about you and not enough about them. And so, I actually once had a bride who hired me, literally showed up at the consultation, hired me. She said I was the only one to tell her congratulations.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, that just goes to show that it's like, truly show them that you care about them. And that's, learn about your ideal client, not just for marketing, but because when you learn about them and when you understand their heart and their struggles and what they go through and what they care about and all of these things, you actually care about them. Like, you actually start to care about that person. And so it's like, so much. And then it's like, again, you want to help them with your marketing. Your marketing starts to add value to their lives because you do care about them. And so it's like, so much value in just like getting to know them and yourself. But
right. So more about what they're getting versus versus what I do, but like, this is I'm doing for you, or what you will be, you will get.
Yeah. So like, it'll be like, dear, you know, or hey, whatever your name is, you know, whatever their name is. And then I'm like, congratulations, I'm so freaking excited. You know, I hope you enjoy marriage as much as I do. So already they're like, oh, she's married, you know, whatever. And then it's like, you know, first things first, you know, my name is Ariel. I was a second shooter for this many years while I was growing my family. Now I've shot this many weddings, and, you know, I absolutely love blah, 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 something about them, and, you know, whatever. And then, so what I did there was congrats, but then also I established my expertness, like, in their eyes. Yeah. So like, this is, I'm legit, you know? And then I go into like all about like, you know, touching on their feelings, how they're feeling a little overwhelmed. I'm sure you have so many photographers, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then even just talking about like, you know, here's what you can expect from an experience with me, and talking about all of these, like, this is how this is going to change your life. This is how this is going to, you know, whatever. And so that's kind of how I do that. And I do the same thing with you guys, with photographers, because it's like, you can go to my website and I can tell you how great I am, but unless you were like, once you see that those lines of where I've been published, then you're like, oh, okay, you know. Or it's like the 6-figure number. Like, I don't care if I make 6 figures, and I'm like, I don't even, whatever, you know. But there's something about like somebody else, you guys hearing that and being like, oh, okay, so she actually like tried her freaking hardest, it's legitimate, and has made it. Yeah. And so it's like, it's not like a braggy thing. It's like a, like, establishing yourself as an expert. Right. So
like the authority.
Yeah.
In what you're talking about and doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I would make sure that even on, you know, your end, when you were saying that you were getting inquiries and not bookings, so make sure that first response email has those things, but also make sure you're doing that on social media too. So like, even if you, like, after we get off here, like tomorrow, go post whenever your ideal client is online and just be like, yesterday I got to be featured by Ariel. You know, we talked about, you know, my story. You know, they're probably never going to watch this, and that's okay. And it's like, but you saying like, I got featured by somebody, blah, 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 you know, whatever. My first feature was like on some blog post. It was like a family session, you know, and it was like, but they were all like, that's so cool. And then they asked, like, who should we use for this type of photography? And they're like, oh, you have to go to Ariel. So instead of it being like so-and-so and Ariel, it was like, you have to go to Ariel. And that's what you want. You know, you want that to be like, and so you have to be posting things on, you know, those social media levels and blogging about that, about how you've been featured. Even if they don't watch it, even if they don't know who I am or anything like that, it doesn't matter to them. They're not going to look into that. They're just going to think, oh, cool. She's awesome. She knows what she's doing. So, but yes. Let's see. Was there anything else?
I cut my questions down to like the 3 main ones, and I think you answered them. I think like one thing that I have struggled with that I've wondered about, like, is simplifying your message into like 2 lines. Because like, that's kind of the, I do such and such for so-and-so. Like, I have struggled with nailing that down in such a short sentence, 2 sentences. But
yeah, it is.
I feel like it's really important for marketing too.
100%. That 30-second elevator pitch, that's what's in that email there. Like, boom, you know. And I use it so much, and I even have different ways of wording it, but I use it all the time, you know. Or even when somebody's like on an airplane, oh, so you're a photographer? Like, and I'm like, no, like, I'm a real photographer. Like, I'm not like, you know, whatever. Everybody's a photographer. So it's like, no, I'm legit. And that 30-second elevator pitch does that. You know, it doesn't just tell why I'm different and who I serve. It tells the legitimacy of who I am as well. And so I think that really honestly comes with, and you're gonna hate it, but it's like that self-awareness and then that ideal client knowledge, and then knowing, and then building all of that into that unique experience, because that you're going to be marketing. And so, you know, and it comes with time. You know, the first time I started talking about this holistic photography thing on my social media, it was like very wordy. Very wordy. I had a very hard time with like, how do I communicate everything I'm trying to do here? Especially because it was such a different concept. And so it's like, and it's like, do they even care? But surprise, they did. But it's like, you know, as I kept putting it out there and I kept perfecting that message and I kept talking about it to people in real life, my husband or my friends or whatever, and just kind of verbally processing through that, it just got better and better. And so, you know, and I think that's the thing is like, don't feel like it has to be perfect. Like just get out there, start talking about it, and it will get better and better as time goes on. And so, yeah, and I'm not a perfectionist, so it's easy for me to say. I was actually just asking my coach, I'm like, how do you coach someone who struggles with perfectionism when you're not a perfectionist? And so, yeah, I mean, and I don't know if perfectionism is what's holding you back on that, but
definitely, I am learning the done is better than perfect concept is new to me, but I'm getting better at it.
Good.
But yeah, that's hard for me.
Well, and I always tell, you know, I have one girl in particular that I coach who struggles with perfectionism on a very deep level. And I always tell her, nobody wants somebody who's perfect. That's unrelatable. Nobody wants someone who's perfect. They're not perfect. If anything, perfect people make us feel horrible about ourselves. And so it's like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants perfect people. Be imperfect for them. Show them your imperfections. Though show them that vulnerable struggles, and you're actually going to see them fall in love with you more. And so, yeah. But yeah, it's hard because I feel like so many photographers, I'm like true photographers, I feel like I'm like illegitimate.
The illegitimate child.
I know. I'm like, I'm really the business person who like does photography, but like you guys are like, I feel like artists, like real artists, y'all
That's
struggle.
Not always the best thing though. Like, I don't know.
It is.
I think to overanalyze.
I never thought that perfectionism was this big of a deal. And so I started coaching somebody that was a perfectionist, and it like is a huge mental block. Like I am just like, girl,
get over it.
It is preventing you from so many good things, you know. And actually my oldest daughter, my 7-year-old, is a perfectionist, and it's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, because I don't understand it, and I've had to learn how to understand what she's thinking, like, and why those things are frustrating her, when I literally could care less. Like I'm like, oh, this picture's not my favorite. Oh, wow. Peace out. Exactly. And one thing I tell, one thing me and her do is if she's like working on an art project or something, she wants to be an artist when she grows up. I'm like, oh God, help us all.
That's her coaching. You'll learn how to coach those people with her.
Oh gosh, it's true. It is a experience here. But I tell her, I set a timer to do a task, and she has to be done. When that timer is done, it's done. And you are going to put it out in the world, and it's going to be fine. And you're going to see that you're not going to fail. You're going to see that people love you. You're going to see that it's going to work. And you can't expect that stuff to work immediately too. Like when I started implementing this type of marketing that I teach in my course, it took 6 months for me to see a financial gain. I went from 1 to 3K a month to 8 to 10K a month after 6 months. And it's like, and that sounds easy. 6 months doesn't seem big in like hindsight, but at the time, showing up twice a day for 6 months to have nobody respond to you, to have nobody care, posting really vulnerable stories and blog posts, that was freaking hard. And it's like, but I still did it. And then eventually Facebook and Instagram were like, oh, hey, look, her post changed.
She's
Like,
still
we
here.
should show this to some people, right? And so then it's like, then people started noticing. And then, like, I don't know that I have a post that doesn't get shared by somebody, like, if not multiple people. And that was like an impossible dream of mine a few years ago. Like, I was like, man, what would it take to get 800 people to share this? You know, like, man, that would be the life. And so it's like, but now that's happening because it's like, I'm posting things that they want, which a lot of times doesn't have to do with photography. And so it's like, it just has to do with their personal struggles and pain points. And then, like, you know, me just being honest and vulnerable with them and then posting it with a sneak peek. Like, it's like, that's what I do. And it works, you know, because people don't want to share sneak peeks of another family. People want to share something that really made them feel something, or something that made them laugh, or something that entertained them. They don't want to share things that don't to them. So yeah but we should get off, because otherwise no one's gonna watch the whole thing.
2 hours with Ty and Ariel.
Right. I'm like, it's worth it. It'll be so good.
Yes.
So just so you know, I will download these videos, and then I have them on like a channel on YouTube so that you can have it forever. And then I also will be writing a blog post about this. And so your video and your business will be featured on that as well. And then I will email you the badge for your website. So
cool. That's so cool.
But thank you for joining
thank
me.
you. That was super helpful and insightful into a lot of things I've been recently digging into. So it's been really helpful.
I was very impressed with your questions. I felt like, I was like, this is a girl who knows her stuff. I'm like, she's either a marketing expert who's testing me, or
not even close. I'm reading about it, so I'm learning about it. So I'm running into questions that I have, you know, that it's like, okay, well, what about this? Or this is where I'm at. I've tried this and this and this, and hasn't.
Oh, I'm glad. Someone says thank you both so much. Seriously, so helpful.
She's my new friend.
Oh, I love it.
I met her at a wedding, actually, and she's also a photographer, and she's super awesome.
I was wondering by her picture. I was like, that looks professional.
Yeah.
Like,
she's the bomb.
Oh, fun.
I met her once, like in passing. But we're friends on Instagram, so.
Instagram friendships, they're a real thing. So
yeah,
I love it. Well, thank you so much. And you have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye.